2, 1.
What's happening, family? It's your main man, TJ Chatman, host of the TJ Chatman Show. We're back with another wonderful, all-new episode.
Yes.
And, wow, it's always a great pleasure to be joined by the talented and beautiful Morgan Williams.
Thank you.
Holding it down.
Happy to be here.
And as you can see, she got a big glow tonight.
Stop it. Come on, man. Stop.
So we're talking about social injustice. And so we're going to continue our...
Social injustice don't make it glow like that, TJ.
No. That's what I'm saying. It's a special type of glow.
That was the introduction. Social justice.
Hey,
right.
It's a special type of glow when we're going through something like this. But sometimes, you know what? You gotta smile through the pain. Sometimes you gotta laugh through the pain.
You have to.
And sometimes pain make you smile.
And that's what I see. Man, look at here. Hey, man, listen, man. Welcome to another episode, man. We got a great lineup for you guys tonight. And we're going to continue our discussion on social injustice and systemic racism and the systemic failure of the justice system that has continuously been troublesome of Black people and minorities. And so tonight's topic, we're actually going to discuss, Black Wall Street. And joining me tonight is the legendary, based on everything that I've heard, the legendary TJ Legacy Cole. Host of the SoapBoxx with 2 X's at the end. And we're actually going to find out, how he came up with that catchy name. I'm kind of curious to find out what that means. And so we're going to have all of that. And plus, we're going to, discuss the most recent, events that has happened, in Atlanta that we all know about. And, and to basically just, give our perspectives on it. And then, of course, we're going to educate you guys on a few other things that you may not have been aware of, because when you don't know, you just start talking out your ass until you got fact checked, and now you're like, oh, okay, my bad. So, but yeah, man, we got a great lineup, and before I even begin, I just want everybody to know, you guys already probably seen it. It's been flashing around.
Yes.
This Friday, myself, along with my good friend Danielle Bowman, we are putting on a Juneteenth protest march for racial equality this Friday in downtown Sanford at Fort Mellon Park, beginning at 2 p.m. We're going to have amazing, great speakers that's going to talk. We're going to have some city council leaders that come in, people within the city that can talk to us about what we're marching for, and that's racial, equality. So make sure you guys go to my page. You can go to Danielle Bowman's page or the TJ Chatman Show page, and you can find the Eventbrite link. Find out what you can do to help. Anybody that's still want to volunteer, holla at your boy. We need all the help we get, because there's gonna be a lot of y'all out there. So we gonna need the help. So we gonna actually dive right into it, man, because this name is kind of catchy, man. It really is. So tell us a little about TJ Legacy Cole.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on the show.
Yes.
Shout out to Russell Drake for connecting us. I appreciate that brother's doing good work highlighting Black businesses.
Yes.
Well, my name is Ty. My government name is Ty Joel Cole. The legacy comes from is that within my family, Cole wasn't supposed to be my last name. My father didn't find out that his last name wasn't supposed to be Cole until he was a grown man. So the last name Cole that I have is not technically supposed to be even my last name. And so, as you know, the history of our people, that we had our history ripped from us, our culture, our religion, everything ripped from us. And so we were given the slit name of our slave masters.
Yes.
Well, in this world, I wasn't even afforded that.
Wow.
So I have adopted the name Legacy as really a badge of honor, to honor those who have helped me along the way in my journey, but to also know that I'm going to leave a mark on this world and leave it better than when I came. So that's where the legacy comes from. And then it came from when I was in college. That was one of my slogans when I ran for student government president, was leaving a legacy. So that's where the legacy comes. It's not my rap name. It's not my. It's something that is my name, and that's how I signed.
I thought it was entertaining.
No, I know they didn't need to bring down the mood.
It just rolls off like, dang. He sound like somebody. Who is he? Let me Google him.
She didn't want a name.
Yeah, but
Hey, man, I came out like,
having that name it means a lot to me. So I know because it does honor those people who have helped me along the way, and so I put that there to honor them. But also, the Cole is still my government name that I stay connected to my brother and my sisters, and so that's why it's TJ Legacy Cole, because TJ Cole Legacy doesn't sound right, so it's TJ Legacy Cole.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Now, you're a journalist.
Yes.
And you're also the host of the SoapBoxx with two X's on the end.
Yes.
And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. I don't know too many people that spell SoapBoxx with two X's. So why you got two X's at the end?
Well, the SoapBoxx originally was a Facebook Live. I've always wanted to interview people and tell people's stories, tell our stories, because I think a lot of times when we're in the media, when we let the dominant society tell our stories, it's depicted as something of crime or, I wanted to highlight and really get to the nitty-gritty of our conversation to be authentic. The SoapBoxx came around. The reason it has two X, it's actually a symbol. It's a Viking symbol, and it means where there's a will, there's a way. So when I started the SoapBoxx, I had nothing. You guys have a very nice setup here. I had an Android, and
we've had some humble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you guys understand, Black.
We ain't always been here.
But you got to see this is a part of the journey. So it's nice. So when I started the SoapBoxx, it was me stacking up a couple books on an Android phone that was cracked, which is I still have that, and then just doing Facebook Lives, and so that turned into me doing getting the green screen and doing a lot different live shows with my former producer, and then to what we have now, which is the actual SoapBoxx podcast. So yes, it's actually a symbol. It's a Viking symbol. It means where there's a will, there's a way.
Wow. So what do you guys talk about on your show? Like, what is it based off of?
Our branding is literally, we say everything. So we talk a lot of social political issues. We also talk about pop culture, what's your trending topics of the week.
Right.
A lot of Black Twitter conversations. We do unpopular opinions. So we talk about a lot of, but at our core, we really want to reach that 25 to 45-year-old demographic and get them socially, politically engaged. Okay.
Well, now that we know the legacy name, how it came about, and why we got two X's at the end of SoapBoxx. Yeah. A lot of things have happened. You're the founder, the owner. We're talking about Black businesses, and tonight's show is primarily, we're going to be discussing the Black Wall Street and how Black businesses are now emerging more than has in years. Being more signified and being more magnified to a point where, hey, we need to go support this, we need to go support that. Now, over the past couple of weeks, we've been discussing social injustice and the systemic, racism that's continuing to happen in America. And with the police brutality seemingly, being a common theme more recently, more than ever, towards Black people, police reform is always being discussed now. And as a journalist, do you feel that police reform is needed? And if so, why hasn't it happened?
That's a good question. Yes, police reform is definitely needed because right now there is no police accountability. Right now, Black Americans in this country have no protection under the law. We can be killed with impunity. And with impunity, meaning, police officers know they can get away with it. Yep. And so when there's no adverse consequence for this type of behavior, it's going to continue to persist, and they're going to continue to do it and then actually profit off of it, which is something that's rarely talked about. There are a lot of people that are giving, doing GoFundMes and raising money after you kill someone. So police accountability reform is definitely needed. What's preventing that is the police unions. Police unions, similar to the NRA with the gun lobbyists, the police unions are the ones who, quote unquote, are protecting the bad apples, and I hate that analogy. But that's what they're designed to do. They are protecting these what I call race soldiers. Race soldiers, because we have to differentiate the difference between a police officer who serves our community valiantly and these white supremacist race soldiers who have infiltrated law enforcement in order to racially target our community. So holding them accountable and coming up with different ways to hold them accountable on a state, local, and federal level is something that is needed, and I think that's the outcry on the streets with the protests.
So what are some of the first steps that you feel is needed to bring about police reform?
Well, I know a lot of different states have independent citizen review boards, but some of those states have subpoena power. Florida doesn't. So what we need to do is we need to contact our legislature and we need to have them say, what is your stance on the Police Bill of Rights? Because that needs to be either revised or repealed. I'm for repeal because you can't, my mother used to always say, you can't throw old wine into new wineskin.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is repeal it. And so we need to start fresh,
Just like you can't put spray cologne on musk.
Yeah, exactly.
Stink.
Exactly. So so another thing that we need to do, and a lot of times people talk about defunding the police,
Yes.
right? And so people look at that as defunding. They think abolish or
get rid of it,
or dismantle, which is not. So the marketing scheme of the whole defund the police is not the greatest, but the concept is something that has been done to your kids' public education for years.
Right.
They've been defunding. They actually did it here locally to State Attorney Aramis Ayala, and I'm sure when you guys speak with the State Attorney candidate that they'll express that, where they defunded her department after she took the stance on the saying she didn't want to do it with the death penalty. Correct. So these defunding texts, and basically what it is you're going through an itemized list as to say, well, our local law enforcement doesn't need a tank. They don't need a sonic machine that's going to.
Right.
They don't need to be. We're trying to demilitarize the police, and so a lot of the times that officers are called to the scene, a lot of these issues are social worker issues, mental health issues, things of that nature. And so you want to make sure that the funds are going to those government agencies rather than being over militarized with the police that have riot gear in order to racially harm us.
Right, and some of the things that's been happening with police brutality, it's unfortunate that it's always embedded in their mind. You said infiltrate, and some those cops are there, and so a lot of people might think, okay, all right, well, the dispatch. Do dispatch have any type of not to get it? Cause I know a couple people that are dispatchers out there. Know a lot of them out there, but some of the research that I've found with some of these calls is that, first of all, it starts with the Karens of the world, lying about stuff.
The Beckys, the Karens, and the Susans.
All of them. And then you have, just a citizen that's, hey, giving you the lowdown of what's happening, because it starts from the person that's calling to the dispatch to the police.
Yes.
And so some of these cases I'm starting to hear is like, you're leaving out very detailed information. Your job is to relay that information over to the cops, not for you to condense it. Oh, we got a black man with a gun. Because I read an article. It was some years back where a black man wanted to die suicide by a cop, and we all know what that means. I'm finna do anything I can so that this cop can shoot me because I want to die. I ain't finna
which isn't that
Right.
hard if you really
Yeah.
want to accomplish that. Yeah.
and it's not that hard. And this one cop ended up being called to the scene, and he noticed something different. Like, wait a minute, hold on, wait. He's wanting me to shoot him. And in training, they teach you, like, hey, sometimes people want to die by suicide by a cop. And so he initially understood what was happening. He now turned from, okay, I'm not in danger, because all he wants me to do is shoot him.
Right.
And so let me now start talking to you. Let me start calming you down. Let me start pushing you off, bring you back off the ledge so that you and I can kind of talk. And just like we've seen recently in this video, my belief from, with Rayshard Brooks is that you have some cops who are genuinely like, you know what? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my discretion. And I can see, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and de-escalate the situation. Make this person feel like, hey, I get you, and not feel that your life is in danger. And so now with this situation here, this other cop came running on scene because they got a message of a black man with a gun. Now he didn't assess the situation. He just saw the guy still waving the gun and his partner just calming, talking down, didn't have his weapon out or nothing. So he came and just shot him.
Yeah, I think it's a twofold. Is that, you know, with law enforcement, they are trained to de-escalate. Me and myself, I'm a licensed security guard here in the state of Florida, so I am trained in de-escalation as well. A lot of times we live in a system of white supremacy, and so white supremacy means that as a black person, you are at the low end of the totem pole. My job is to subjugate and to dominate you in various aspects, whether it's, you know, your job, religion, you know, and, you know, financially, anything. And so when these officers get onto the scene, they talk about implicit bias. It's their job, or in their mind, that I don't have to value this life. It's the difference between, which is today, I believe today is the anniversary of the Charleston, South Carolina shooting in the church, where Dylan Roof went in and shot them, but then they went and took him to go get a cheeseburger at a Burger King. And then, but Rashard Brooks, they will have him as someone who was intoxicated, sleeping in his car, who told them, "Hey, I'll just walk. Right. You know, I don't mind walking. And then if they wanted to write him a citation, they could have did. I've seen white people do a lot worse than what Rashard Brooks did, and still be alive to tell the tale today.
No, and so it's like you can't. So you can't say that there isn't a pinch of racism there, because you know what I mean. Like, you just automatically, like most people say, well, if you know, don't stir trouble, then you'll be fine. But it's like, realize it doesn't matter what I say. The fact that I'm black is trouble.
Yes.
That, you know what I mean?
Your melanin is
that's the trouble. Yes, that's the trouble. I don't even have to open my mouth.
I was just going to say, Morgan, you don't even have to say nothing.
Nothing.
And that's your right to not say nothing, as we.
Right, but how dare I not say nothing?
Exactly. Yeah. Some people, if you, I have experienced it where I've taken advantage of my right to say nothing. And they take offense to that.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely believe that one part of police reform is police need to respect citizens' rights. If I've given you my driver's license, my registration, my proof of insurance, or if I'm missing something and I'm like, hey, I don't have it, I don't feel like.
It's almost like you don't have any. Like, there is no level of respect for you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't have to respect your wishes. I don't have to respect anything that you say, or you know what I mean. Like, there's just no respect there on top of that.
Because you made a valid point. Listen, I gave you my driver's license. I don't have to say nothing, because what does the amendment right tells you? I have the right to remain silent. Period. So when someone
but that goes back to not having equal protection under the law. So you are talking. So here you are talking about, I know my rights. You get a lot of people say that. I know my rights. And a lot of these people get off, and when I say these white supremacists, they get off on these videos. Some of the videos, like George Floyd, and some of the videos like Rashard Brooks, they get off on that. That is white supremacist pornography to them, because they enjoy watching these videos of black people being harmed. That is something that's not actually being talked. For instance, and what we also don't talk about enough is a lot of these white supremacists who infiltrate law enforcement, in order for them to get a higher rank in the system of white supremacy, or within their groups or clan or whatever, they have to harm a black person. So, you know, these are things that you're walking in and you're thinking, okay, I just put my hand 2 and 10 and everything's gonna be all right. We have to understand the nature of what law enforcement was created. Law enforcement was created as slave patrol, right? And so this idea that if I talk a certain way, if I walk a certain way, you got to understand that there were black folks who were lynched in suits. So it's not about wearing a hoodie. It's not about how you carry yourself or your demeanor, or even your social status, or even if you're a pastor, because a lot of times pastors think, well, I'm a man of the cloth, it can't happen to me. It can happen to you.
Because it's about this.
We're going to beat you down.
We're all a part of the same system. So the best way to hold them accountable is to say, one is to be financially, economically viable in our communities, so that we can then have our own candidates. Because the reason that we're not being represented in politics is because you got to follow the money. If you're not donating to a certain candidate, they're not really going to be able to listen to you, right? So if we don't have a financial base so that we can control our candidates, so that they can be viable and be able to speak freely. So some of these candidates who are black, they want to speak freely. But they know that, okay, if I speak on these black issues, well, these black folks are not going to support me because they're not going to donate to me. They're not going to help me fundraise. They're not going to help me. So then I'm going to lose my career. So guess what they do? They get to the seat at the table and then they eat a butter biscuit and then they come back to us and tell us what they can't do.
What they can't do, exactly.
So
and it's all about the economic empowerment, man.
Because you can't comb through the police departments to try to find a racist cops. It's not going to happen because you know what I mean. Like
that's why I say it's not.
We have to fight a different way.
It's not the bad apple. It's the orchard.
Yeah.
It's the entire system that if you're like, for instance, I heard someone give an analogy today, and I'm actually going to rip it because it was very profound. They said that if they used to do experiments with cheeses, right? If there was a good cheese and a bad cheese, they would put it together, and they would have a rat come in. A rat wouldn't eat either cheese because they would think that because the bad cheese was next to the good cheese, it would be contaminated. So even here locally, we don't have any system to hold these people accountable. We have citizen review boards, but they have no power. And they're not independent because they report to Orlando Police Department, or they report to the city council. So so these are glorified listening sessions, and you're talking to people within internal affairs who are supposed to be impartial, but they're really not impartial. Yeah. They're there to just represent and calm you down. And so what we also don't talk about.
I can tell you from personal experience, you know, where, like you say, you go down and this person comes out and they basically work for the police department, and they're also, some of them are also there to gather information to use against you.
Yes, exactly. And not only that, is we have a system in place we have Negro whispers in our community, right? And so when I classify Negro, these are the people who, when you are having this outcry of telling people, hey, this is what's happening. People are harming me. You go to your pastor, you go to this person. Not all pastors are bad, but these are the people that are to say, oh, it's okay, things are going to calm down, and then they'll put you on the runaround, and then there's actually no justice at the end of the day. So being financially, economically viable, repealing the the Police Bill of Rights, also demilitarizing the police, and making sure that we are passing federal legislation, not just cosmetic legislation, federal legislation. Like I said, we don't need you to kneel in a kente cloth.
Listen,
we need you to pass a federal law, because notice no one is talking about how we're going to punish. I know
everybody wants to be on this I'm with the black community wave, and it's like we don't need that right now.
No.
We need results.
Y'all
look ridiculous.
There needs to be a consequence and a deterrent. If there's no deterrent to killing black Americans, then there's no reason why it's going to stop. And so they know that, but they'll play the game of taking a knee. They'll play the game like President Trump today announced that he's signing an executive order that they're going to have a big database of cops with a history of complaints. Okay, that's great. So now that we know who these people are,
which makes no freaking sense, because
none.
Yeah, but what next? What happens after they're on this database?
Right,
how are they going to be punished? And that's the trick bag that they're not telling us.
Because it is so far deep off in that system, and with the police department, like you said, like who do you go to?
Exactly.
Who do you go to? Because everybody is on that side.
And that's the thing. Like we had, we had actually had Jose, a former corrections officer, that gave us inside scoop on what's happening. Is like he's seen the wrongdoing, and he's like, no, I'm not finna do that. He want to go try to tell his captain, and his captain was like, listen, don't listen. You ain't gonna win this battle. Just you know what? Yeah. Just walk away from it. So now his thing was like, okay, I see it happening. I can't do nothing, because if I report it and I do the chain of command, all it's doing is shutting it down, because you're left with, well, ain't nothing to happen. It's going to go on deaf ears anyway. You don't want to fight this war.
Correct. And not only that, these officers are then put on, I don't know if we can curse on here, but
you can cuss.
Oh, we can. Okay.
She said
these officers are put on shitty detail, right? So they say, oh, well, you have a duty to intervene. Well, when you intervene, you just put a red X on yourself to say, oh, basically you're snitching. Yeah. So they like to tell us in the black community, oh, if you see something, say something. Well, the cops need to take their own advice. If you see something, say something, but you don't, because you know internally in your system that you will be punished by getting a different detail, going somewhere, or your own safety will be in jeopardy.
Yep.
Will be in jeopardy if you speak out against the harm and the mistreatment of black folks.
So you're not for the blue. You're for them. Either you're with us or you're with them. And then you mess around and get put on a shitty detail.
That's right.
And you end up responding to a call. That's a dangerous situation. And you call for your backup. Oh, that's such and so. All right, hold on. Let me finish writing up this report from the last call.
Yeah.
So you wait a couple 4 or 5 minutes. That 4 or 5 minutes, that's your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So and I bring all of this up because with the 911 dispatchers with that situation, they left out that it was a wife that called and saying, "Hey, my husband is trying to get shot by the police. He's mentally ill. He's suffering from PTSD, and the gun is not loaded."
Yeah.
All of that was left out. The only thing that was sent to the police was black man with a gun, and he's waving it. And luckily, the first officer on scene saw the situation, saw what was happening, and he didn't even get that detail. It was just something morally inside him saw like, oh, wait a minute, nah, something ain't right about this situation. And not once did the brother click the gun or click anything. You know, he was waving and whatever, doing this number here, and come on, who does that? Who does that? If somebody gonna shoot, they gonna bang bang.
And that's why outlets like yourself, that's why outlets like the Soapboxx are so important, because the media plays a very important role in the depiction of our people.
Yes.
And so if everybody's always seeing these negative images of us and our stories and how we live in our communities, then when an officer shoots one of us, they'll already criminalize us in the news report, but they've already dehumanized us. And you'll get a lot of people who like to be contrarian. Well, that's what you were talking about. Well, if they just complied, if they just did this, and that's what they're really telling you, that's code for, I'm making excuses as to why it's okay to harm black people.
Why that happened to you.
Yes.
And we've seen when you complied and still what happened.
Or my new favorite is when they try to say, oh, well, the numbers don't suggest that there's a problem with, the statistic. I'm going to tell you.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started on statistics.
Statistic that I've seen.
It doesn't matter.
That 1 out of 5 people have HIV and don't even know it. Well, how the hell you know?
Shut up.
Before we go to break, man.
And on that note,
and I'm gonna just tell you a little something about those statistics, because I've had it was a post that was put out. I gave my my little 2 cents, and the first thing they came back was with the stat. Did you know that cops, white people are killed by the cops more than blacks? Yeah, it's more y'all motherfuckers out there than us. So the numbers are disproportional in the beginning. Yes, the numbers don't lie, but they don't also tell the fucking story either. Yeah. Who has a better batting average? A person that's batting 1,000 that only fucking bat once. That only batted once in their life. That batted once in their lifetime, and you got on base because you fucking bunted the ball, and now you got to fucking batting 1,000 versus somebody who done hit the bat or hit the ball or swung 20 times in 3 games, and they batted average what? 750. So you mean to tell me the person that batted 1,000 is better than this person here? No, the numbers are fucking disproportional. Yep. So that's what I say to the motherfucking stats. So we finna go to break. We're gonna continue, because when we get back, man, we're actually going to talk about the Black Wall Street that's happening, or that happened back in 1921, and the resurgence of black ownership and how it's manifesting in today's society. And we're going to continue on this topic. So go make sure you get your guys a glass of wine, your cognac, whatever's going to make you feel right, and we'll be back. So keep it locked. The best is yet to come. Let's go. So anyway, so we gonna come back in a little bit. Hold on, we finna, matter of fact, we gonna keep.
I have a stat for you.
Let's go talk about the stats behind the scenes.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, that Orange County has...
You getting behind the scenes footage, y'all.
Yeah, Orange County has the most excessive force cases of police brutality per capita in the nation.
I can believe it.
So we are living in it. Like, so there's a national dynamic, but then there's a local dynamic of how we are treated here within within our own hometown.
Bro, I used to work on Central Boulevard back in the day when everybody used to go to Taboo and Cairo.
Oh yeah,
That's old school. Yeah,
Cairo.
What's my spot that all the pretty girls used to hang? Taboo, Cairo, some other spot, but you know,
it's a blue.
The
blue room.
No, right over there on Central. It's
Icon.
We're on break, but we just
all the pretty girls with the icons. It seemed like to me, right? So long story.
No, they getting behind the scene footage right now.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
can break us.
But you still can break us.
You
But
can break
all
us.
right, so y'all got a little snippet of what we be talking about behind the scenes. We gonna break. So we actually gonna go on break now. So get your glass.
Between the 1870s and the beginning of World War I, black pioneers settled more than 100 all-black towns in the West, each with the goal of economic independence. Among the most well-known was a black district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, known by its residents as Greenwood.
If we were to go back in time to 1920 and walk up and down Greenwood Avenue, one thing that would probably strike us is the absolute variety of businesses. The numbers are astonishing. 30 restaurants, 45 groceries and meat markets. There were dry goods stores, milliners, a photography studio, dental offices. Greenwood is no longer called Greenwood. It's now known as Black Wall Street.
This whole idea of self-containment really existed there. The dollar would stay in that community sometimes over 3-5 years before it ever went outside of the community.
In 1919, black soldiers returned from World War I with high expectations for racial progress at home. But in one city after another, white mobs erupted in violence, targeting black veterans, citizens, and businesses. Hundreds died. On Tulsa's Black Wall Street, African Americans, including armed veterans, watched nervously and prepared for what might come.
Countering this white militancy is very much an African American spirit of we're going to defend ourselves. If the mob comes, we're not going to run. We've got our guns and we're going to protect ourselves. And that was especially important and valuable and potent in Greenwood.
On May 30th, 1921, the mob came to Greenwood.
This white woman is in an elevator and this black teenager allegedly whistles at her or talks to her. He is taken to jail. A mob gathers of whites and blacks, and blacks in Tulsa are armed. They take their Second Amendment rights seriously, and they come with guns. And this is a threat. Someone fires into the crowd, and the riot is born. This was not about the whistling boy in the elevator. This was about blacks becoming too economically powerful and showing that wealth in a way that anyone would by creating buildings and constructing churches and having property.
There was a whistle that blew, and then the mass invasion and the destruction of Greenwood began.
When the smoke cleared in the early morning of June 1st, 1921, Black Wall Street lay in ruins.
This is by far the largest single incident of racial violence in all of American history.
Welcome back. Wow. I know you guys just saw the video of Black Wall Street, the history behind it, and it's the Black Mecca, back then, because when they say you can't have something, oh yes I can. Don't worry about it. I don't need yours. I'm finna go do it my way. I'm finna go set up shop over here, and that's exactly what the people of Greenwood did in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Is we're gonna start our own because we're just as smart.
But you know what?
Our economic empowerment is just as good.
But that's because we have been conditioned to not trust our own kind. That's why we don't like to support Black businesses like we should, because we don't trust that your product is gonna be as good as the white man's product.
They think the white ice,
white
ice is colder.
White ice is not colder. White ice is not colder. It's not.
No.
It's just not. And it's white folk doing shady business. I'm an entertainer.
It is, but
it's some white agents out here taking money from your black ass.
But we as a community feel like if we don't have a dash of it, then the product can't be good. Because you think about it, we go to black, white folks in there too. It must be good. You know what I mean? We say shit like that.
Or they talk about you get what you want, or you get what you pay for.
It's a black, it's why it's taking so long. But if you in another, you know what I mean?
But you take your ragged ass to the same Wendy's that hold you in that drive-through for 30 and come back tomorrow and wait another 30 minutes.
I think that's because we have to die. I say, the Christians say die daily. Every day we have to kill that little white supremacist person that's embedded in the subconscious every day.
Yeah.
So when we have a business and you go there, it's like the difference between paying full price at a Walmart where you're not even going to make a fuss about it, and then going to a black business and asking for a discount, or immediately becoming a property appraiser.
Because we automatically feel like
jotting down saying
it should be discounted because it's coming from you.
Correct.
Hey, let me get a discount. Hey.
Correct.
We black. You can't give me no discount, man.
Correct. No, and that's a big part of supporting black businesses, paying full
And
price.
I say this: if you take, because over the last couple months, I've really been advocating for black businesses or whatnot, black enterprise.
And Russell Drake do a great job of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say this: if you keep taking your black ass to that black business, the price will drop. Because, as you've heard me speak of before, TJ, a lot of our black entrepreneurs, because of systemic racism, they don't have access to working capital like that. So they're operating off sales. Yeah. All right. So the more sales they generate, the more people that they can hire so that the service can be better.
Can be much better. And
you see what I'm saying? The more sales they generate, the better, they can go out and they can buy their merchandise in a greater quantity, therefore making the price a lot cheaper to the customer.
They got that capital amount.
You see what I'm saying? So if we just do what we need to do, and I've been saying the stance I've taken lately is I'm going to support to perfection. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to support my black entrepreneurs, because I know that things have been done to keep you from being successful.
Yes.
And guess what? You made a valid point. What was it? Was it last week or the week before? You said you need to go to Angel's Barbecue on the corner of 25th and Sanford Avenue. And guess what my ass did?
You did.
I went there, and it's like...
And let me tell you how I know, because I was in there the following day. They was like, your co-host was in here,
What? For real? Wow. Bro, listen, it was like, I'm like, wow. I've seen this spot so many times and kept passing by. Not even thinking about it because... we've been accustomed to seeing these restaurants like just be glaring, like just pop out on you like, oh, what's this place here? And you pass by the same spot day in and day out and not even recognize that's really a spot. All you see when you go on the corner of Sanford Avenue and 25th, the only thing that stick out to you is that Sunoco gas station and that fruit stand over there. That's all that really sticks out to you. So when you say, oh, it's right by the fruit stand, oh, okay, I know it's at because the fruit stand sticks out. Angels doesn't stick out, even though they got a nice big sign, marquee out there. Everything's sitting right there, but it's blended in to a point where you don't recognize it.
That's why I think what Russell Drake is doing is such. People don't think about it, and I know he probably doesn't think of himself like that, but that's actually revolutionary. Because when you are allowing for free to use your platform in order to showcase black businesses, and I think a lot of times people want to patronize black businesses, but they just don't know where to find them.
Yes.
Or these black businesses are so
true.
busy operating, trying to make sure their business is running, that they kind of forget the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
So for him,
or they can't afford it because they don't have the working capital to go out
So
and purchase it. So again, if you take your black ass to that black business who's operating off sales, they'll generate enough sales to afford advertisement.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
that's a commercial right there. Take your black ass.
Take your black ass
to the black establishment.
Yeah.
That's a commercial right there.
Right? So I mean, we've seen a brief
Buy
highlight.
black with your black ass.
So we've seen a brief highlight of what happened to the Black Wall Street. How do you feel black-owned businesses are viewed in today's society? I mean, I know we touched on it a little bit, but do you think they're viewed the same as it was viewed during the Black Wall Street era?
Well, back in the Black Wall Street era, before Sarah Page, who was the 17-year-old white woman, yelled and said that a black man assaulted her, and it was put in the newspaper saying "nab the Negro," which was the white supremacist dog whistle needed to bring everybody into Tulsa, Oklahoma. At the courthouse.
We got us one.
I still feel that black businesses are stigmatized because black businesses align themselves with minority businesses. And that's one of the detriments to black businesses. Because minority businesses...
Say it again for the people in the back.
Yes, minority businesses can mean white women, can mean Asians, can mean any Latinos. And so when people say, well, when these contracts or the funding comes out and they say, oh, we're going to support minority ownership, small business loans, and all these things, black businesses get this trickle down economics that black business ends up getting the crumbs of the funding or the support. So we're still feeling the stigmatization that we face within our own community, but then we're also getting shafted because the hard work that we did in the civil rights movement to advocate for these things like ownership in black businesses. We're still not getting the resources for the adequate resources from
systemic racism.
Exactly. So that's one of the problems now with our black business. But because of social media, you're seeing a new renaissance of a new rallying cry to support black business, which I think it was absolutely positive.
Me too.
Positive.
Me too. And to your point, that's what's got me on the ball. To the point where I went ahead. And I've swapped my Metro service for Figures Wireless. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm banking with One United Bank, looking for other stuff. You know what I'm saying? I recently have been pleasantly surprised about the diversity of black-owned restaurants, which I'm glad because everybody don't need to have a soul food shed. I get tired of
yes.
So I'm glad to see that we're diversifying in industries.
So do you think with everybody now wanting to patronize more black businesses and get more involved with making sure that we are pinpointing those places, shopping in those places, do you think that we will eventually have a Black Wall Street nationwide?
I believe it's possible because we have an Asian town. We have these businesses that are designated by race that they all can lump up together.
Yep.
It's just
the Chinatown.
Yeah, exactly. There's Chinatown in every neighborhood.
Yeah.
But what's going to have to start, and what makes people uncomfortable, is you have to then stop buying and patronizing from some of these Asian people that go into our communities. Their dollar doesn't circulate in our community, but yet still we're buying fish from these Asian restaurants, and we're allowing them to serve some of these restaurants. They're serving us through bars. Like they're scared to be in our communities, but they want your dollars. So stop patronizing these places because I'm sure there's an alternative. And I think again, I'll echo that's why black media is important so that we can showcase. Because if we are able to disseminate this information, people will then choose an alternative. Right? And so they won't have our communities be exploited by these other minority businesses where their dollar is not going to circulate back in our community.
The term is called mosquito
business. And speaking of the mosquito business, it's kind of like, we're programmed now because we're used to going to the Chick-fil-A's, the McDonald's, the Wendy's, and, even some of these top line restaurants. And it's like, okay, well, this is how service should be. and we talked about
It sets
we
the
talked
tone,
about
yeah.
capital, right? So now the program, like, okay, this is what service should be like. Yeah, I agree. That's what service should be like. But then, what happens when you try to go to a black-owned restaurant? You know, I just wanted some pork chops, some collard greens, whatever, and it's taking you over an hour and a half.
Because we forget that we don't start at the same level as the Chick-fil-A.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
Which is why I've taken the stance to
Yes.
support to perfection.
Until the shit get right.
And I understand.
Until the shit get right.
I understand that it ain't gonna start perfect because once again, I know you operating off the sales of the business.
Yeah.
it's
You
no
didn't come in
no
here-
different than your favorite rapper selling his mixtape out of his trunk, and now it's the same shit.
Well, we still, and I agree, but we still have to hold these businesses to a certain standard
Yes.
of excellence.
This is
Just
true.
not because they're black, we say, well, they black, so because then
No,
we are doing
Yeah.
the same things that the dominant society does.
Exactly.
We got to hold them to the same standard.
Like,
And
listen,
I agree with
that's why I had those feedback.
I agree with you. There's some of these black businesses, and we'll talk truth. Some of you not ready because you want all the clientele, but then you get there, and then it's like, oh, we ain't got this. We ain't got this, and then people won't come back. So there's still some basic economics of customer service
Yes.
that needs to be not just coming to a place and just saying what you want.
Yeah.
You know, so there still needs to be some sort of camaraderie. Still needs to be some training, but that doesn't mean that if you have a bad experience that you write off all black businesses. And that's
and
what's
the first
happening.
time first time some shit go wrong. This why I don't fool with black. So
That's
what happens?
what you hear, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When the white boy, they make, that's all, it's coming. But with us, it's
We'll
automatic.
We'll apologize.
Yeah, you'll wait.
You'll wait
for a Popeye's chicken sandwich, but somebody else, we don't have this, or it's taking too long. Then you got a big problem.
And the reason why it's taking so long is because you're black, because it's a black business. But any business can have that. You know what I mean?
Internal things, and there's a whole show I watched, Bar Rescue, about that.
Yes.
Where he's out there yelling at folks, and so not all businesses, no matter what your race is, have it all together.
Nope.
Right.
So, but with us, we got to make sure that if one experience doesn't take out the whole bunch, because we don't want that when we talk about the conversation with law enforcement. Just because they had a bad experience with one person in our community, they write off our entire community and stigmatize us all. We don't want to do that with black businesses, which would make us no better.
And I will say this. If you have a problem with a black-owned business, go to the owner and tell them your problem.
Like, come on over here.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, I had this problem, you know, and do it tactfully, and this is my recommendation, and give them a few times. And if you don't feel like that problem is, hasn't been corrected, then my recommendation to you is go to his black competitor. You see what I'm saying? If you got two black-owned businesses that sell real, don't be like to your point. Don't be like, that's why I can't support black. No, go to the other Black Rib Shack or whatever the case may be.
Like point in case, Sanford Avenue. How many black soul food restaurants is on Sanford Avenue within a couple of blocks? How many?
At least 3.
Now, guess what? Guess what you just did? Okay, well. Y'all customer service, y'all had me waiting for. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and
y'all out of chicken today. I'm gonna go down here.
Let me go down to Chantel.
Yeah,
let me go down to Chantel's real quick.
Go to the Jamaican spot, or the little spot on Park Avenue and 13th Street or whatnot.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna still get the business.
And if you go into the Jamaican spot, you're gonna have to wait. So please, just act accordingly. I'm Trinidad. Just act accordingly when it's ready.
All right, so back talking about the Black Wall Street. So we all know that was created, because of segregation. Yes. So do you think that now, with everything that's going on, if we were to, create that Black Wall Street, that it'll be perceived as blacks trying to segregate from everyone else? Now, me personally, I don't give a shit what a motherfucker think we trying to do, because why it's not segregation. It's always segregation. We want to celebrate us, like with BET. Yes. Why it's got to be black entertainment? Why, so I personally don't give a shit. But this would.
Oh, but she asked the question, answered the question.
No, me too. I understand what you're saying, but we have to ask ourselves, right, and really be honest with ourselves. What did integration really do for us? when we integrated, did we integrate the same justice? Did we integrate we're having the economics?
It's just like, all right, we're gonna
we
let y'all
just
do it.
integration meant that these black business owners, it actually hurt us because we then spent our money at white businesses, which we are the closest knit as a race, as a people in the 60s. That's what's not talked about, right? Because people like to think, in the 60s, we're always divided. No, because all we had was each other.
Right.
But when we had integration and we kept praying that, well, I want to sit at the
counter.
I want to sit at the and now you still have folks out here saying the same thing. Well, you got to sit at the table. You got to sit. No, you can create your own table and have your own community and so that's what is not talked about as far as integration. We integrated our dollars, but not our worth.
Right, and that is so important because up in New York, because I was on a call, I was on an interview call this morning with Monique, who is running for state attorney here in Orange County and Osceola, and this was on Candy Bryant's morning show. And so one of the things that was brought up is kind of like, the Jewish community up in New York has their own police department. And it's kind of like when you mess with if you kill one of us, a Jew, it's going to be some blood shed because everybody stick together. Unlike with us black folk, it's kind of like crabs in a barrel. It's like we're trying to pull each other down, trying to get to the top, rise to the top, and we don't stick together to a certain point. That's what it's always been about. And
I'm glad you said to a certain point because me personally, I'm starting to get frustrated with this narrative that black people don't stick together. So you mean to tell me you ain't never bought something from another black person simply because they was black?
It's not even that. It's not even that.
You never voted for a politician because they was black. When we say we don't
stick together, is we are so because we have been, I guess you would consider, oppressed for so long. We are thirsty for the validation. So if I gotta knock you down to get my validation, then that's what I'm gonna do. So just because you buy black,
we could definitely do better.
So it's not necessarily the crabs. It's whoever put us in the barrel. It's
the barrel. So it's like everybody trying to, trying to get to that point of being, that's why I said if we don't have a dash of the white in our shit, then it can't be great.
But those are slave narratives where everyone's trying to get to the big house.
Yeah.
Right. And we talk about, and I know I don't want to venture off too much.
No, we're good.
But even with beauty, you see a lot of these athletes as to why is it when they have a certain social status that they need to be with this white woman
because she is who's in that circle.
Because not only because in slavery, white woman was used as a standard of wealth and of status. So when I'm a black athlete, I gotta have myself this white woman, and then next thing you know, you're ingrained in the circle that you're around. Now you're not talking about the black issues from where you came from. You're talking like everybody else because you want to keep up with the Joneses in the big house. So we have to be very cognizant of the narratives and that's why history is so important. Because if we don't understand history, we'll be doomed to repeat it.
Absolutely.
And we don't think it's enough room for everybody.
Exactly. Now we got what we got some time. And so before we go, there's a few things that I want to touch upon.
Okay.
First of all, how can the viewers and listeners get in contact with you on your social media?
Okay.
And how can they tune into your show?
All right. So we are live every Thursday at 8 on Facebook, and then we're also loaded up on YouTube. Follow us on SoapBoxx Podcast, the SoapBoxx Podcast with 2X on Instagram and on Facebook. You could like our Facebook page. And we're on, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, wherever you stream your podcasts. That's where you can listen to the SoapBoxx. Wow. And then I'm also featured in the Central Florida 100 weekly every Sunday. You can read my op-eds in there, and then I'm also a guest contributor for the Sentinel.
Wow, that is awesome. And before we touch on this last subject, make sure you guys go to my page. We got the march this Friday. We're going to have Equal Ground Education. They're going to be there, making sure people register to vote. We're also going to have another group out there that's going to be there to make sure you register to vote because it starts right here locally to get those people involved to make a difference. And within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have those folks on my show that's about what change is.
Yes.
And it matches their history to what they're telling you. But we're going to talk about that later. But,
Okay.
so we know about, Rashad Brooks, the killing that, took place. You got everybody that's talking about it, like, he beat down this cop, and he took his taser, and, he shouldn't have did that. He just sentenced himself, and it's us that's saying it.
Yeah.
It's us that's saying,
Yeah, it's us.
He deserved it. I can't defend that.
Trying to justify, but
it's a lack of knowledge to understand.
Slave talk.
It is.
It's
Right. You shouldn't have talked back.
You don't do that to
You
master.
shouldn't have. What did you think he was going to do to you? And the thing about it is that that's why it's a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why we're marching and protesting and doing all those things. You know what I mean? It's because there always has to be we always have to be given a reason to be treated that way or to be killed. You know what I mean? Like, he was running away. You had everything you needed.
Yes. And how far could a intoxicated black man?
He wasn't even going running that fast.
How far could he really run? And where was he? How far could he go?
And best believe the way the justice system is set up, they were going to get his ass.
And not only
he had his license, you had his car, you already had his name, and so it's kind of like
and a taser is a non-lethal weapon. And so just because you commit a crime and he may have his day, he could have had his day in court.
Yeah.
But you played judge, jury, and executioner when you
on
took
that
man's
one
life over him sleeping in his car. Now there's plenty of videos on social media of white people just harassing cops, talking in their face, agitating them, and doing this stuff. Exactly, because they have the complexion for the protection.
And just recently, a good associate of mine, she posted a video this morning, right here in Altamont Springs. Woman crashed right in Altamont at the, I'm gonna call it the L House. They had an accident. Woman was drunk in her daddy's truck, crashed, bam, hit everything. They got her out, they sat her down, calmed her down. Somebody came and picked her up. No arrest made. White woman. So it's kind of
property damage involved.
Property damage, everything involved. So and it was a lot of people. It was daytime, so everybody seen it.
Yeah.
But discretion was, hey, she didn't have too much. She had a long day. Something happened. It's the middle of the afternoon. Something took place. Listen, we're not finna ruin your day today.
Black man, I've had a long life.
You can tell. You can tell by those officers when they were talking to Rashad Brooks that they were trying to entrap him and get him to say, "Oh, I was drunk. That's why he kept saying, "Oh, I don't know," and playing coy, because they immediately in their mind it wasn't a wellness check. It was, I want to make an arrest.
That's what it started out at. It was a well-being check.
Yeah.
Because somebody calls, hey, it's a guy in the drive-thru. He ain't moving. He slumped over, or it looks like he's asleep, or I don't know. Y'all come check on him. That's what it started at. And my belief, real quick, is the fact that he technically probably was going to call for a ride for him. It wasn't until the second officer pulled up and changed the whole narrative, changed the whole vibe, the whole mood, and be like, you know what? I don't care what you want to do for him. You need to go ahead and arrest him for DUI, which is why he wasn't the one that said put your hand behind your back. It was the initial person that was there, and it was kind of like, don't put your hands behind your back, because you see the motion. You see the motion. So I know we got about 2 minutes, and I just want to get to these 4 hangings real quick, and just explain something to you guys out there right now.
Yes.
It's not suicide. It's a message being sent, just like how it was back in the day. We're going to get you.
Right.
We're going to hang you up so you can stop the nonsense that's happening, because they see the change that's happening. The change is real. Enough is enough. So what I'm going to tell my black brothers and my black sisters.
And our allies.
Not yet.
Okay.
Because they ain't being strung up. It's us that's being strung up at this point right now.
True that.
Okay? Be mindful of your surroundings. Things that you normally like, you in the house, oh, dang, I got to go to the truck real quick to get something. You got neighbors that are now surfacing. People that you didn't think that was racist. That sheep clothing that they used to hide in, those wolves, the bitch is getting hot. The shit is getting hot. That's why it's coming off. That's why you starting to see all of this. Like, damn, I ain't know this motherfucker. Guess what? They're across your hall.
Yeah.
They're next door. They're across the street from you. So what's happening now is they're having that rally cry, just like they did in the Black Massacre.
But how convenient of the suicide yell when they just now making lynching a federal crime.
But guess what?
So now
there's no.
We just saying fuck it and we roping up.
Yeah, we roping up. We're gonna climb this big ass oak tree. We're gonna go ahead and tie ourselves up, and we're just gonna drop down and say, yep, finna kill ourselves. And all 4 of them now, within a week and some days, man, fuck that. I'm gonna tell you right now. Watch your back.
Yes.
They're trying to send a message. Keep going for it. Don't fucking stop. Don't fucking stop. Yes, you probably don't hear me cuss a lot. Don't fucking stop.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. Don't fucking stop, because change is happening. Enough is enough. And I'm done. And before I leave, I want to thank my beautiful co-host for holding it down like she always do.
That's what I do.
Morgan Williams, doing how you do. The smile is so elegant. I want to thank the entertainment name himself, the lights, cameras, action.
Yes.
TJ Legacy Cole.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Journalist, host of the SoapBoxx with 2 X's at the end. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you.
And
Thank you.
And like every week, he's been on time, and I appreciate him. Comedian Loose Cannon sitting in the funny chair, making sure we laugh through the pain. And the owner holding it down in the back, Casanova Williams of the Culture Radio and Culture TV. Man, listen, watch your motherfucking back, my black brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Until next week, keep it locked. The best is yet to come. Let's go.